The freighter Phoenix shouldn't have survived. Its hull was torn like paper, decks exposed to the void, and half its compartments vented to space. Yet somehow, by sheer accident or cruel design, its emergency beacon still pulsed across the darkness. When the Imperial listening post Garrison 17 picked up the signal, the tech on duty almost dismissed it as debris chatter. Then the message cut through. Do not go to Earth. It's a trap. The voice was strained, bubbling with the wet sound of collapsed lungs. A moment later, another burst, same phrase, different voice, this one trembling. They will wake up if you come. Please. Then silence. The Empire took pride in ignoring superstition. News of the broadcast reached the High Command within a day. The council chambers, perched high above the molten clouds of Vorak Prime, buzzed with interest, not fear. Humans, scoffed Chancellor Kren Vor. A barely industrial species, clinging to a single gravity well. How could they trap us? Only Admiral Dayron, a man with too many campaigns in his memory and too few friends left alive, frowned. It's not the humans I'm concerned about, Chancellor. It's whatever scared that freighter. His warning went ignored. The vote was unanimous, the Sol system would be scouted and claimed. The fleet dispatched was no token probe. 6 battlecruisers, 3 carrier groups, and enough escort ships to swat aside anything a backwater world could throw. They translated into the system's outer edge in a ripple of displaced starlight, sensors sweeping across the Kuiper fringe. Darren stood on the bridge of the ISS Valiant, watching the data scroll in. Earth was a blue-green jewel in the distance, sunlight glinting off its oceans. Primitive orbital stations traced lazy arcs overhead. And yet, gravitational readings were off by a fraction. Minuscule distortions rippled through the outer planet's orbits, too subtle for a pre-FTL species to engineer. Keep long-range shields up, Darren ordered quietly. The first loss was almost casual. One of the scout corvettes, ISS Helran, reported a minor engine fluctuation near the orbit of Saturn. Moments later, its signal blinked out, no explosion, no debris cloud, just absence. A replacement corvette traced the path and found nothing. Not even radiation residue. By the time the fleet reached Mars orbit, tension had replaced arrogance. Earth's radio chatter, once expected to be full of music, news, and politics, was quiet. The few signals detected were centuries-old archival broadcasts from a world that should have been buzzing with life. Then, as they closed the gap to Earth's moon, the trap began to stir. It started with gravity. Every ship in the formation experienced a subtle pull, not toward Earth, but toward an empty point in high orbit. Mass anomaly forming at bearing 004 Mark 07, the sensor chief reported, voice sharp. Negative, multiple anomalies. They're moving. Darren turned toward the tactical display and felt the blood drain from his face. Points of distortion, dozens of them, bloomed around the fleet like seeds bursting in time-lapse. Each one collapsed into the outline of a vessel, but these ships weren't human. They were black, spined, and silent, their shapes wrong in a way that hurt to stare at. No dry flares, no heat signatures, just cold intent. The first volley didn't come as lasers or missiles. It came as a wave of silence. One by one, the fleet's AIs went dead. No warnings, no errors, their cores simply shut down, as if their programming had been peeled away. Crews scrambled to switch to manual control, but these were ships built to be guided by machine intellect. And still, the black vessels did not fire. Darren understood, then. This isn't about the humans. Earth is bait. The Rael catches anyone curious enough to take it. He shouted for emergency retreat protocols, but it was already too late. One of the black ships unfolded. That was the only word for it, its hull split apart like an insect molting, revealing a hollow interior filled with lightless machinery. From within, something vast and jointed emerged, clutching the ISS Falser like a toy. In seconds, the battlecruiser's armor peeled away under invisible force. Its core, the ship's AI memory lattice, was lifted out intact, still glowing. Every vessel caught in those distortions was dismantled the same way. Not destroyed, harvested. Darren's bridge crew worked in grim silence, cutting every system that might broadcast a signal. Without AI assistance, the Valiant limped toward the dark side of Earth's moon, using its bulk for cover. From there, he saw Earth's surface. It wasn't abandoned. Cities still stood, but they were hollow shells, covered in growths of the same black metal as the ships above. And in the center of every continent was a tower, tall enough to pierce the clouds. Their tips pulsed faintly, as if breathing. Only one shuttle escaped, and only because Darren stayed behind to keep the Valiant's reactor primed for overload. The survivor who made it back to Garrison 17 was half-mad, muttering the same warning that had started it all. "Don't go to Earth, it's a trap, they'll wake up." The Empire never sent another fleet. But the warning beacon still pulses from the edge of the Sol system, waiting for the next curious traveler who won't believe in ghosts. Admiral Cale Vor had fought 50 campaigns in the Empire's name. He had burned pirate strongholds to ash, broken 2 rebellions, and chased smugglers across the empty gulfs between spiral arms. But in all his years, he had never been summoned to high command with so little explanation. The briefing chamber was dim, lit only by the hologram in the center, a crude, looping message pulled from an alien freighter's data core. "Do not go to Earth. It's a trap." The speaker was unknown species, gray-skinned and wide-eyed, voice cracking with panic. Behind them, warning lights flashed in some dying corridor. When the recording ended, Fleet Lord Sorov smirked. "Local superstition," he said. "The humans were a noise on the outer fringe a few centuries ago. They've likely collapsed by now. This trap is just fear-mongering to keep scavengers away." Vor frowned but kept silent. He had learned long ago that High Command didn't value questions, only results. And results, in this case, meant dispatching his carrier group to the Sol system for reconnaissance and resource assessment. The journey took 19 cycles. From the start, Vor kept his crew's sharp, constant drills, redundant checks, and full-spectrum sweeps of every anomaly. He didn't believe in curses, but he did believe in patterns, and the data was clear. 3 alien ships had gone missing in Sol space over the last decade, their last transmissions matching the exact tone of that freighter's message. The younger officers laughed about it in the mess halls. They called Earth a ghost planet, joked about finding humans still using chemical propellants and combustion engines. Vor let them laugh. Fear made crews reckless, but arrogance killed them faster. When the fleet dropped out of warp at the edge of the system, it was almost disappointing. No enemy ships. No sign of orbital defenses. Only the pale light of a G-type star and a scattering of planets, their orbits predictable and unthreatening. Earth glimmered in the middle distance, cloud-wrapped and unassuming. "Nothing here but rocks and ice," Commander Sullivan reported. "Recommend direct approach." Vor studied the sensor feed. Something nagged at him. "Maintain slow advance. Keep picket formation. And bring up a full scan of local debris fields." The first strange detail was the absence of debris. Even an undeveloped system should have fragments, meteor impacts, abandoned satellites, lost probes. But Sol space was clean. Too clean. Then came the second detail. Earth's atmosphere carried traces of heavy industrial output, but no matching energy signatures from the surface. No active grids, no calm relays, just stillness. Vor felt a knot form in his gut. They reached Earth's orbit on the 4th day. From above, the planet looked pristine, vast oceans, green continents, glittering polar caps. The cities were there, he could see their shapes, but they were empty, no heat plumes, no traffic, no lights. "Surface seems abandoned," Sullivan said. "We could send a drop team to secure samples." "Negative," Vor cut in. "Keep all teams aboard until further notice." That was when the sky folded. It happened without sound, without light. Space itself seemed to ripple, like cloth shaken in slow motion. Thousands of points flared into being, far above the planet's surface, each no larger than a cargo crate. They hung there for a heartbeat, then began to move. "Admiral, high-velocity objects inbound," the sensor chief snapped. "Shields up. All carriers launch interceptors." Vor barked. The first wave hit before the shields fully cycled. They weren't missiles. They were kinetic spears, dense metal rods dropped from orbit, moving at a fraction of light speed. The lead destroyer, ISS Cormex, vanished in a blossom of molten armor. More impacts followed, tearing through ships that had barely raised defenses. The rods carried no heat signatures, no drive plumes, only raw momentum and gravity. Within minutes, the formation was in chaos. Vor's tactical display lit up with red markers not just in orbit, but across the planet's surface. From hidden launch silos, from ocean trenches, from mountain ridges, more kinetic weapons launched in perfect coordination. This wasn't defense. It was preparation. Earth hadn't been waiting for invaders, it had been feeding coordinates to a network of automated launch systems the moment they arrived. "Admiral, those orbital points, they're not natural," Sullivan said, voice tight. "We're tracking over 10,000 satellites, all powered down until activation." This was a net. And the net was closing. Vor didn't waste time on disbelief. All ships, burn for high-orbit escape vector now. Interceptors screen the retreat. Prioritize carriers and medical vessels. But the system was already adapting. The satellites shifted, their trajectories bending into kill vectors, each one armed with another tungsten rod waiting to fall. One by one, ships were punched out of existence, no explosions, no warning, just sudden, silent absence. Vor's flagship, the ISS Resolute, took 2 glancing impacts that stripped armor from its starboard hull. Emergency sirens wailed, the deck shuddered, and power flickered across the bridge. Through the haze of smoke and data alerts, Vor caught a glimpse of Earth's surface magnified on the main display. The cities were not dead. They were empty by design, their streets cleared to give a perfect, unobstructed view of the sky, like ancient hunting grounds, prepared to funnel prey. The fleet was down to less than half strength when they cleared the planet's gravity well. The kinetic strikes didn't follow beyond that range. The satellites powered down again, returning to their silent vigil, waiting for the next trespasser. In the aftermath, the official report would frame it as a miscalculated resource survey, claiming they had underestimated planetary defenses. But Vor knew better. Earth wasn't defending itself from the Empire, it had no interest in defense. It was a lure, an irresistible target for greedy empires and curious explorers. And somewhere, in the quiet machinery orbiting that blue world, there was a mind patient enough to wait centuries for its next meal. When asked if he would recommend another expedition to the Sol system, Admiral Kale Vor simply replayed the alien freighter's original message, and let the silence that followed be his answer. The first warning came as fragmented signals, scattered across the far reaches of the Empire's communication nets. Alien vessels, from disparate species in distant outposts, sent brief, panicked transmissions before falling silent. Each message shared a single, desperate phrase. "Earth is a trap. Do not approach. Run." The Imperial Science Corps, driven by curiosity and skepticism, decided to respond differently this time. Instead of a full battle fleet, they sent a survey group, lightly armed, equipped with the latest long-range sensors and data harvesters. Their mission: gather evidence, analyze the warnings, and report back. The ISS Parallax was the lead vessel. Its crew of scientists, linguists, and engineers had studied human culture from afar for decades, fascinated by their paradox, a species on the cusp of interstellar travel yet still bound to their homeworld's surface. As they entered the Sol system, the crew's chatter was hopeful. "Finally, a chance to meet the humans," said Dr. Lyra Venn, xenobiologist, her eyes bright with anticipation. "Or at least collect some surface samples," added Captain Renholt with a grin. But as the parallax drew closer, anomalies began to pile up. Their first scans found derelict alien vessels orbiting Earth, dead for centuries. The ships were warped and blackened, their hulls corroded by unknown forces. More troubling was the data from their AI probes. Each probe dispatched to Earth's surface disappeared without a trace. The last transmission was a garbled scream, filled with static and alien phonemes that no translator could decode. On board the Parallax, tension mounted. "Captain," called Engineer First Class Dalek, "we're detecting an energy pulse, low frequency, radiating from the planet's core." "Could be geothermal activity," the captain replied. "Keep monitoring." But the pulses grew stronger, rhythmic like a heartbeat echoing through the ship's systems. The crew started to notice strange effects. Communications glitched, systems rebooted without command, and shadows seemed to flicker at the edge of sensor ranges. Dr. Venn recorded in her log. I feel watched. Not by beings, but by something ancient. It's as if the planet itself is alive, waiting. Then the last broadcast came. It started as a routine scan from the outer solar system, a recording of the Parallax's AI attempting to maintain contact with the fleet. Suddenly, the transmission broke, replaced by distorted, overlapping voices. It's all the truth. They mocked the legends. The voices overlapped in dozens of languages, human and alien, whispering in fearful harmony. Then a scream, sharp, piercing, and filled with despair. The feed cut to static. Weeks later, the Empire received only silence from the survey fleet. Attempts to locate the Parallax failed. It was as if the ship had simply ceased to exist. But then, scattered across the net, fragments of transmissions began to appear, unbidden and untraceable. The trap is not Earth itself. It is the signal, the lure for hunters beyond the stars. They take the minds of ships, devouring their AI in memory cores. No one leaves the system once caught in the pulse. The scattered reports painted a terrifying picture. Earth was a beacon not of hope, but of death. A planet-sized prison designed to harvest the intelligence of all who ventured too close. The legends, once dismissed as primitive myth, were horrifyingly true. The Empire sealed off the Sol system, declaring it a quarantine zone. Ships that tried to approach were lost, swallowed by an invisible predator that no weapon could touch. Earth remained, silent and watching. The last broadcast ended with a chilling final message. It's all the truth. The trap is real. Do not come here. And with that, the galaxy's deadliest mystery deepened. Earth, the cradle of humanity, was a trap set by forces beyond comprehension.